You know we can do so much better than this. Go and get your jacket. It's time.
Only about, 4 months ago, they were hell-bent on having a people's vote, hell-bent on revoking Article 50. And let's not beat around the bush here, there's still plenty of time for any of those two events to occur. And if any of those two events do occur, then they no longer have a mandate. That's why they tried their damnedest to try and force one through with that legislation that they proposed last week. Of course, that was for no other reason other than that fact. The only reason that they're talking about independence all of a sudden again is because the no deal Brexit looms on the horizon. So this is their opportunity. So now they're ramping up the rhetoric regarding independence as if this is what they've always wanted. But I do find it rather remarkable just how full of shit they really are. As it's pretty apparent for all to see that they've been campaigning for 2 years with vigorously to do something which would have eradicated the mandate that will give them in time, if we're quote-unquote dragged out against our will, the right to hold a referendum, but until such time they don't. So again, they're kind of jumping the gun to a degree. But if it's not Mary Black or Helmet Head, it's fucking Rainbow Unicorn Land's resident non-binary Beta Blackbird, always peddling the same narrative, which is about 70% fabricated. They've created this false narrative, this false reality, to try and conjure up as much sympathy from the outside world as possible in order for them to garner as much support from people that may be on the fence. And that's where my issue lies with these people. Make no mistake about it, everybody's MP were being completely sincere and their plight was sincere and so on and so forth, and I would have no issue whatsoever, but the point is a hell of a lot of the things they proclaim, including their campaign tropes, it's all built in the back of disingenuous manipulation. All the way back in 2016, right from the referendum result, all exactly done by design. The situation that we found ourselves in, done by design. Promises were made to Scotland during the 2014 referendum that were never kept, including Scottish voters being told they could protect their EU citizenship by rejecting independence in 2014. That wasn't an integral talking point at the time. Second of all, David Cameron specifically said at the time that there was a referendum in the future regarding EU membership. Thirdly, the EU white paper that the SNP had conjured up, the white paper in the event of a referendum going in favour of independence, quite clearly stated that we would have been out of the European Union. They knew this, but they still pressed on ahead. It stated in that white paper that we would move to seek renegotiations to rejoin the European Union. And fourthly, Spain threatened to veto us as well. It wasn't a case of being told that a vote to leave the UK means leaving the EU and we all decided unanimously to fucking stay. And the only reason we stayed in 2014 was because we are all diehard EU fucking fanboys like Helmet Head. It's not exactly the way it worked. They've consistently given the SNP a mandate to deliver a referendum in Scotland's future, with the mandate being reinforced through consecutive elections. Listen to this. Most recently with the SNP winning its best ever result in Europe. This is unbelievable. They are so full of fucking shit. Specifically said to Scottish voters prior to the European election that anybody that was a unionist could still vote the SNP as their vote wouldn't be treated as a vote for independence. And what are they going to do the next day? Oh, our surge in support, the so-called surge in support, and a piss-poor turnout nonetheless. This surge in support is now strengthening the case for independence. I mean, they are full of fucking shit. Twice now Sturgeon has interfered in the way that Scottish voters conduct themselves when it comes to these elections, and you have to wonder to yourself, just why is it she continuously does this on the quiet? Why does she keep interfering? Could it be that she's not entirely confident with the way things would turn out if left to go naturally? And then again, that then paves the way for her to create the manipulative narrative that seems to be swallowing up people whole.
Tory Prime Minister Theresa May has claimed that now is not the time for Scotland to have a choice about its future.
Well, exactly, because we've not left the European Union. Why the fuck should you be garnered a choice?
Now is not the time.
Really? Firstly, the promises made to Scotland during the 2014...
Keep doing this, it's not true. That was not the talking point at the time. There was a multitude of other things on both sides. What about the pound? That was a major concern. That took up a hell of a lot more TV time than this fucking BS, man.
2014 referendum were never delivered.
It's true. No means we stay in. We are members of the European Union. And yes, if the Conservatives win the next election, which frankly isn't looking likely by the polls.
And of course, there was a referendum 2 years later that we were all aware of.
Secondly, in 2016, the SNP won the Scottish parliamentary election with a record number of votes.
Yes, and don't even bother saying that's because of her fucking mandate, because the 2 elections previous to that, she also won a record level of seats, all in the wake, riding the wave, the crest, the wave of momentum from 2014, when people felt that something was a bit fishy with the referendum at that time. She was able to ride the wave of momentum, and it led her all the way up to 2016. 2016 rolled around, and she specifically came out at the time and told people if they had independence in mind, independent supporters, which there was a fuck ton of them considering they got record level amount of votes in their elections prior, independent supporters with independence in mind vote to remain in the European Union, as the vote for an independence referendum, the premise for independence doesn't arise if we vote to leave. So she kind of, either, depending on their IQ, she either manipulated them and made them think that it was tactical voting, or she peddled a bit of fear porn in their direction, one of the two. Nonetheless, she played an integral role in the vote going the way that it did. But yet, the overwhelming majority of Scots voted to remain trope is one that she still peddles today, and it just begs belief how she still gets away with it 3 years later almost. She played a role, she interfered to an extent, if you want to call it that. She told people to vote a specific way. Fuck.
And in 2017, we won the most Scottish seats in the general election.
You lost a third of your seats in that election. What the fuck, man?
The 2016 manifesto clearly states Scotland should hold a referendum if there was a material change in circumstances, such as Scotland being taken out of the EU against its will.
And we've not been taken out of the European Union against our will. Therefore, this is irrelevant. And again, explain to me exactly where independence fits into the picture of reversing Brexit, because that's what they've been doing for the last 2 years. This independent support that she may very well be obtaining up and down the country, a lot of these people are being well and truly fooled, because she would have been quite content with remaining part of the UK as long as we remain in the EU. And of course, there's still time for that to occur. Nothing has changed in terms of circumstances, therefore they've got no right to act upon their mandate. But of course, that's been the major lie of the whole campaign as far as I'm concerned, because she's managed to convince many people that she can hold that referendum at the click of a finger, and she's then tried to direct blame at Westminster as to why she's not called for the referendum. It's shit. Everybody knows it's shit, apart from her diehard SNP supporters. It's unbelievable. They don't have a mandate to act upon yet. Yes, they've got a mandate that states that they can have a referendum if we're dragged out of the European Union against our will, but we haven't left.
Well, that's exactly what happened.
Looks not, though, has it?
Scotland votes to stay in the EU as the UK decides to leave.
And of course, why did they do that, Sturgeon? Why the fuck did they vote to remain? I bet a good portion of them voted to remain because they wanted independence at some point down the line. Yeah. Let's just pretend that little fact doesn't exist.
First Minister says that makes a second independence referendum highly likely.
Fast forward a year and she loses a third of her seats. I mean, Brexit from day one has been thwarted for the most part by a bunch of crybaby Remainers, and the SNP are no different in that regard. Just because they're not sitting down there at Westminster the same as the rest of them, they're still to a degree responsible. There is no chaos, there is no fiasco at play here. This is near enough exactly the way lefty crybabies want it to be. The power is near enough all in their hands, which does beg a little question in its own right. The SNP are bound to know that the likelihood of a no-deal Brexit actually coming to the forefront and being allowed to go ahead is near enough non-existent. Therefore, again, what are they going to do if Article 50 is revoked? What are they going to do if a people's vote does eventually come around the corner? That's why they're trying their damnedest to have that legislation they put forth last week signed, sealed and delivered and given the green light. So therefore they've basically pushed through a referendum via stealth in a sense, because The reason that they put forth that legislation last week is because they've got a mandate for independence, but they don't have a mandate. But the claim is, for all to see and hear, that they do, but they don't yet. We haven't been dragged at the European Union against our will. And again, I'll say one last time before I go. We're a party that proclaims to want independence for Scotland, and it's all about Scotland and Scotland's interests, etc, etc. Why have they been trying to stop Brexit for 2 years? Why are they still trying to stop Brexit? It's not exactly the sort of actions that you would undertake if independence was your goal. You'd be sitting quietly and allowing this no-deal Brexit BS to continue, would you not? But oh no. They're full of fucking shit.